down the road, and they are parking and turning and going forwards, going backwards and stopping.
Now, another example of Tim's ability to punch above his weight and total lack of common sense is when we were on Tony's stag do to Verbier in Switzerland about 18 months ago. Now, Tim had consumed a few too many pints of low pub rate and very, very sensibly decided to take himself home earlier. Now, as you can imagine, on such an event, everyone was in very high spirits when the rest of us returned a few hours later, and being as such good friends as we are, we wanted to, well, explain to him about what had happened in the events of the night so he wasn't missing out on anything. Surprisingly, when we tried to gently wake him up, he didn't take too kindly to this, and he bounced out of bed like Iron Mike Tyson, swinging right hooks and left hooks. And who should he catch with one of these punches with a perfect right hook, right to the nose? Not only the biggest man in the room, but quite possibly the biggest man in Switzerland at the time, rugby captain Knutsford, Sam Fishburne. He's actually here today as well.
Stand up, stand up.
Come on, Sam, stand up. I think it's fair to say they're good friends, but they haven't always seen eye to eye. So really, red wrap to a ball. Now you think. Anyway, you'd think that common sense would prevail with Tim, and seeing the man mounted in front of him, he'd back away. But no, 12-stone Tim thought he was the boxing champ and asked if he wanted any more. It's a good job that there were 7 of us there to physically hold Sam back that night. Otherwise, your wedding pictures would not have looked so pretty.
Now, as I'm sure most of you know, Tim's an excellent sportsman, and he's fantastic at golf, at basketball and at tennis, and he also rates himself as a bit of a handy football goalkeeper. And it was actually on the football field that I first got to know Tim, or rather, I think he got to know me more, because for my primary school side I slotted a first half hat-trick past him. He seems to have somehow erased this from his memory ever since, and he claims that it never happened. Now, Tim loves playing sport, and when the cricket trials were announced at school, Tim was one of the first people there. Now, with his sporting ability, you thought he'd be a natural, but when he bowled, it never went straight, and when he batted, he never really troubled the scorers. So Tim being Tim, he decided to reinvent himself as the first and only specialist fielder. Now, he called himself a specialist fielder, but the rest of the lads in the team preferred to call him the 12th man.
We've already touched on this today, Tim's love and also Fred's love of Manchester United. Now, this is another area where it's plain to see Tim's total lack of common sense. Tim tells me Manchester United are the best team in England. Hey. Common sense would say that this is Liverpool with 18 league titles compared to Manchester United's 17. Tim tries to tell me that Manchester United are the best team in Europe. Common sense would say that Liverpool, with 5 European clubs compared to Manchester United's 3, would be much, much better. John tries to tell me you can never be a true footballing superpower until you win the Bears Cup like Newcastle.
When Paul? Now, I'm sure most of you know, and we've touched on this before, Tim and Abby are childhood sweethearts who've been together since the age of 16. Now, for a couple to stay together and have a relationship as long as theirs today really is a fairy tale ending to their courtship. Me and Andy are both really lucky to call them both our friends, and their relationship has been the cornerstone of our circle of friends over the last few years. They're both reliable, trustworthy, and I think everybody here will say they're always there when you need them.
Everyone who knows Tim and Abby can obviously see how in love they are with each other, and I've never been more sure of saying anything than I am when I'm saying that Tim and Abby will have an absolutely fantastic life of marriage together. Now, just before we toast the happy couple, there are a couple of people who have asked us to give telegrams because because they can't be here today.
Now, the first message I've got here today is actually from Tim's football manager at Whitegate FC, called Mark Newell. And it says, I quote, "Tim is a great lad who is popular in the dressing room and is always up for a few drinks in the bar afterwards, win, lose or draw. However, on the pitch we've tried him in every position, but we found it to be useless in every one. I sincerely hope that Abby has a little bit more hooked on their wedding night tonight.
This one's actually for Abby, and it's from a gentleman called Julio, and it just says Julio of Liverpool. It simply says, please can I have my pants back? Do a last kiss, kiss, kiss.
Right, ladies and gentlemen, if you could all be upstanding, please, and join us together in a toast
Bride and groom.
to the bride and groom.